the first self-help graphics Day of the Deads were very traditional. We had altares, decked with fruit and banana leaves, and in the altar form, in the old-fashioned altar form, the Catholic altar form, against the wall or in the front, in the middle of the room with papel picado. We would make the papel picado, we would build the altares, we had a little invitation, and this is before the community was coming in droves. There was nobody coming. We had a few friends that came to see us, and we would all make dinner, and we would put platos, like spirit plates, on the altars, and then we would sit down together and have a prayer and have dinner together. And it was really old-fashioned. We had pictures of our relatives and our grandmothers and all these things on the altars, very, very personal kinds of things. And we had the walk from, at this point we were at, when we were at, on Brooklyn, 2111 Brooklyn, I don't even think there was a walk from the altar at that point. We started out at the altar in the morning, and Joey Rivera, who is now a, what do they call those people he's in museums, but he's also like a ranger. He's a ranger. He used to do a very beautiful indigenous opening. Then they actually had mass in the cemetery, Evergreen Cemetery, where my great uncles are buried, and my family is there. And then they would take, after mass, then everyone would go to self-help graphics and have this very genteel, very soulful, very beautiful and quiet kind of velaciones, with beautiful prayer included. And that spiritual aspect of Mexicano culture is what has imbued a lot of my work and a lot of my spiritual development, my personal spiritual development. Then, there was a parking lot in the back. You had to drive around the block to get into the parking lot. It was this long rectangle. And they brought in, San Juan Bautista. They brought in Luis Valdez. And, what's the name?
El Teatro Campesino.
El Teatro Campesino, thank you, how incredible. Too many memories flowing in my head at once. They brought in El Teatro Campesino to do these fabulous, over-the-top kinds of Day of the Dead presentations with giant masks and like bodies and sides of things, like calacas, big calacas. These sort of like, almost like the Macy's parade in New York all of a sudden meets East LA, Dia de los Muertos. And I remember one year they had a presentation at Roosevelt High School. Sister Karen organized a presentation of Teatro Campesino at Roosevelt High School with an entire audience filled of students from East Los Angeles. It was really spectacular.
Do you remember Leo Limon's car in the altar with them? He said he had a big skull on the front.
That's right. I've seen photographs of that. And, as a danzante at that point, I was always at the front. Well, this is when the parade started happening. The parade started happening after we went back down to Gage. Once we left Brooklyn and went to Gage, then the big parades from Evergreen all the way down where they would stop off the streets and everything, and that's when Leo had his big car there. But as a danzante, I was always at the front.
What's a danzante?
A dancer, Aztec dancer, dressed in regalia. I did that for about 8 years. And so we were at the front with the copal and the, and the chachayotes and everything going down the street. So I missed a lot of the parade behind me. And so I didn't get to stand on the side of the street watching the parade. Those were really incredible days. I mean, the Day of the Dead was just beginning. The Dia de los Muertos was just beginning its celebration in Los Angeles. And Dia de los Muertos at that point wasn't this national, international cultural phenomenon that it is today. And it was kind of like this kinetic energy where LA was doing Dia de los Muertos, all of a sudden San Francisco was doing Dia de los Muertos in Sacramento, and the Royal Chicano Air Force was doing Dia de los Muertos. And suddenly you had Day of the Dead all the way up and down the state. San Diego was doing Dia de los Muertos, and because the Centro was there, the Centro in Sacramento, and all the Centros in San Francisco, suddenly you had this synergy. And, the tipping point, all of a sudden it was critical mass. And everybody was doing Day of the Dead.
What is the Chicano Royal Air Force?
The Chicano Royal Air Force is this very overlooked group of artists headed by Jose Montoya, who's out of Cal State University, Sacramento. That's been there. I think he's very ill right now, as a matter of fact. He's much older. The Royal Chicano Air Force was a group of artists, men and women, that basically did, one of the main campaigns that they had was La Cultura Cura, the culture cures. and they created all kinds of community events around it and art objects around this idea that learning about the culture will help the people heal themselves. And they are really overlooked in terms of California Chicano history. And Sister Karen used to, when I used to go up to, because I used to do ceremony up in Sacramento, and I used to kind of drive through San Francisco, I would be taking up stuff from Self-Help Graphics and collecting stuff from other places and helping people understand the synergy of what was taking place throughout the state. You should look up the Oral Chicano Art Force. They're absolutely amazing, the work that they're muralists and painters, and they also did a lot of community ceremonia. They did Fiesta de Colores for years, and as a danzante I was up there doing Fiesta de Colores with them. And so Day of the Dead was, it's become a cultural phenomenon now. It's a giant cultural phenomenon. But my concern about it, and what I credit Sister Karen for and Self-Help Graphics for, which is a very important point, is that the Day of the Dead isn't just imagery. It's not just magnets and t-shirts and the accoutrement. It's the ephemera, and it's the historical background of the Day of the Dead, which gives it its meat and its meaning. And I know you understand that as a historian. It's about what it's about the meaning of the Day of the Dead and why it's important. And Sister Karen, with the first Day of the Dead, really helped set that tone. That those beginning years really helped to set the tone, where the altar was there, where the ceremonia was included, where the culture was included, la cultura cura. I mean, it was, the teatro and the music and the artwork. And then, of course, at that point on the Vallejo Mobile Art Studio, all of our art projects with the kids would be focused around the Day of the Dead. And there was workshops that we did. I remember one of the workshops I did at Self-Help Graphics. I think I sent you the photograph of that too, where we silk screened out, the head with the big hat, the calaca with the big hat, and then children would decorate the calaca with the big hat with glitter and paint and feathers and put them on big sticks. So when they were in the parade, they had like these big placas that they were walking around with for the Day of the Dead.